Okay guys, so in our last lecture we started with theoretical distribution and we saw the binomial distribution, some conditions. Let us do a small recap of this and then we'll continue with the further points. The first is that the number of trials n must be small and finite. And I told you that number of trials is nothing but the number of repetitions of a particular experiment is called as the number of trials, which has to be small and finite. The next point is that each trial has two outcomes, success and failure. We had seen that the success is defined as that outcome whose probability is asked, and if opposite of that particular thing happens, then it is called as the failure. We say that each trial's outcomes are independent. Basically, all the trials are independent of each other. The outcomes which have two options, in fact you can also say that the trials which have two outcomes or two options, such trials are called as Bernoulli trials. The two outcomes are success and the failure is what we had also seen. Now there is one more very important point that we need to remember over here. You can write it along with me. Point number 5. Probability of success plus probability of failure is always equal to 1. So if I assume that probability of success is represented by P and probability of failure is denoted by Q. If probability of success is P and the probability of failure is equal to Q, then we say that P plus Q is always equal to 1. This is a very important formula or a point that we need to remember when we are solving binomial distributions. It is same as complementary events probability, which we have studied in our previous chapter. Like we say that probability of A plus probability of A dash is equal to 1. So it is similar to this. So if I consider A is success, A dash is not A. So if I say probability of failure, so not getting a success is actually a failure. So we say that probability of success P plus probability of failure, that is Q, the total has to always be equal to 1. Okay, now give the next heading everybody. Properties of binomial distribution. Very important. We will be seeing all the properties one by one in detail. You can write it along with me. I'll also explain it to you. In case you guys have any doubt, then let me know. Heading is properties of binomial distribution. Point number 1 is the type of the distribution. We say that it is a discrete distribution, or you can also say that it is a discrete probability distribution. I explained you about the discrete distribution in the last lecture. We say it as a discrete distribution because the random variable x takes values 0, 1, 2 and so on up till n, and these all numbers 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on, they are all whole numbers. So we had seen in the previous lecture that a discrete probability distribution has all the values of whole numbers, so it is from 0 to n, where we say that n is the number of trials, number of times you repeat the experiment, that will be the value of n. So that was your first point. After that, the okay, so the next point that you have is based on the parameters. The parameters of the binomial distribution are n and p. What is n? I already told you, it is number of trials. Even I told you about the p, it is probability of success. So you can see that there are two parameters n and p. Therefore, a very important MCQ comes over here. Binomial distribution is biparametric discrete probability distribution. This is an important point that we can remember for our MCQ guys. The two parameters n and p. After that, point number 3. Condition on parameters. Now, we just now saw over here that x is from 0, 1 up till n. So it indicates that n has to be finite. That is for sure. One more important condition is on p, which is like this. P has to be between 0 and 1. It has to be compulsorily between 0 and 1. It cannot take the values of the end points, which is either 0 or 1. What is the reason for that? Let us see that. Suppose if you consider that, why not like this? 0 less than or equal to p less than or equal to 1. This is absolutely wrong. Why is it wrong? Let us understand that. See, assume that p is equal to 1. The maximum possible value is 1. So I am assuming that p is equal to 1. In case you do that, just now sometime back I gave you a very important formula which says p plus q is equal to 1. So if p plus q is equal to 1, it will become 1 plus q equal to 1, and hence it will become q is equal to 1 minus 1, which is 0. So if any of the 1 values becomes 0, either p or q, the probability cannot be calculated, because in order to calculate probabilities I require non-zero numbers. Therefore neither p should be 0 nor the value of q should be 0. Therefore we assume that the value of p can be anything between 0 and 1. 0.001 will also do, and 0.99 value will also do for p. But I don't want the value exact 0, neither I want the value exactly equal to 1. That is a very important point that we have to remember over here. Therefore we say that p has to be between 0 and 1 and not equal to the end values of your range. Now after that, the point number 4. The formula. What is the formula? Px is equal to ncx into p raised to x into q raised to n minus x, with a condition x is 0, 1, 2, anything up till n. See, just now sometime back I told you both the values have to be non-zero. It is because of this formula. If I consider that q is 0, 0 into anything else will become 0 only directly. And if probability becomes 0, such an event becomes impossible event. And it's of no use to find the probabilities of impossible event. Therefore, in order to avoid that problem, in order to avoid that clash, what we do is we consider that P is anything between 0 and 1. I guess you understand it right now, that why do we say between 0 and 1. Okay, so that is our basic formula. Point number 5 is mean and the variance of binomial distribution. Mean over there, as you all know, it is denoted by expected value of x, and it is given by n into p. Variance is v of x, which is equal to npq. In case if the question asks us the value of standard deviation, then in such a case you all know that standard deviation is nothing but square root of the variance. So I will get this is equal to square root of npq, like that. Okay, now after that, point number 5, in fact I should say point number 6. It is again an important point. Relation between mean and variance. See, the relation is very simple. The relation is that mean of binomial distribution is always greater than the variance. That's a very important point that again you should remember by heart for your MCQs. Let us see the reason for that. Suppose if I consider an example, suppose n is equal to 10, number of trials is equal to 10, p value is given to be 0.6, so obviously q value is going to be 0.4. As per our formulas of mean and variance, if you see, mean, which is equal to expected value of x, is equal to n into p. 10 into 0.6, that is going to be equal to 6. And if you calculate the value of variance, it is equal to npq. So 10 into 0.6 into 0.4. 10 into 0.6 is 6, 6 into 4 is 24, so I get this value as 2.4. So guys, if you observe, mean is 6 and variance is 2.4, which 100% satisfies this relation that mean is actually greater than the value of the variance. So that is your point number 6. Point number 7 over there is maximum variance of binomial distribution. This value is equal to n upon 4. This is again an important MCQ for you people to remember by heart, that the maximum variance is always equal to n upon 4. Now the question is how? Let us see the condition first of all. Condition is that whatever is the value of p, in fact whatever is the value of n, I should say, sorry, n can be any number, or I should say any whole number, no problem with n. But there is a condition on p which says that p has to be compulsory equal to 1 by 2. You are having two parameters, n and p. So both the parameters will affect the variance. But in this particular case, for any value of n, it does not matter at all. So we say that any whole number will do, but compulsory p has to be equal to half. Now if you say that p is half, and I know that p plus q is equal to 1, This implies half plus q is equal to 1. When I subtract half on the opposite side, it is obviously q is equal to 1 minus half, which is going to be half. So according to that, p is half, q is half, and therefore see your above formula for variance, it's right there in front of you. Variance of x, any value of n will do, but p has to be half, q has to be half. So n into half comes out to be n upon 4. Okay, so the point number 8 over there is based on mode of the distribution, mode of the binomial distribution. Let us understand how to find the value of mode. First, find value of n plus 1 into p, obviously using given values of n and p, because this is the value which will help me to decide the value of mode. So now let us understand how this value helps us to decide it. Let us see this. There are two cases. Just see and write the case very carefully. Obviously, I'll be giving you the example for this. Case number 1 is that n plus 1 into p is a non-integer value. When I say non-integer value, it means that this value is a decimal value. So in such a case, mode is equal to value in n plus 1 into p just before the decimal. Now see, let us understand this with the help of a very easy example. If I assume that n is equal to 8 and p is equal to 0.6, this implies n plus 1 into p is equal to 8 plus 1, 9 into 0.6. So 9 into 6 is 54, and I take a decimal value over here, so 5.4. So guys, as per your condition, value just before the decimal means only this particular number has to be considered. So I will directly say that mode is just equal to 5. It is very easy to do it like this. Come on, I'll give you one more small example for this. Listen carefully all of you once again. If I say this time that let us take n is equal to 12 and p comes out to be, let us say, 0.8, or probably let us take a simple number, say 0.4. So n plus 1 into p, this will come out to be equal to 12 plus 1, that is 13, into 0.4. 13 into 4 is 52. Alright, so once again the value before the decimal is just equal to 5. So it seems that mode is once again equal to 5. So that is the way we calculate the mode in case when n plus 1 into p comes out to be a non-integer value, which you can also say as a decimal value. Let us consider case number 2. Case number 2 says if n plus 1 into p is an integer. So when we say integer, it can be any kind of a whole number, because n has to be a whole number in that case. So because if n plus 1 into p is integer, then in that case how do we get the value of mode? Let us see. then mod is equal to n plus 1 into p itself, and whatever is the value of n plus 1 into p minus 1. Okay, let me take an example for this. Come on, once again. Example, if I say n is equal to 9 and let us say p is equal to 0.7, so according to that, n plus 1 into p has to be 9 plus 1, 10 into 0.7, so it comes out to be exactly equal to 7. Now I am sure that this 7 belongs to an integer, or it also belongs to the set of whole numbers. So according to that, I will directly say mod is equal to 7 and 7 minus 1, which is just 7, and equal to 6. Understood, guys? That is the way we have to calculate the value of mod. Now once again, a very important note. Depending on values of n and p, binomial distribution can be unimodal or bimodal. We say it is unimodal or bimodal for the reason that uni means 1. So if you observe the first case, we had got only a single value of mod. So this kind of a case is a unimodal case. Whereas here I am having two values of mod, which are 7 and 6. Because there are two values of mod, the binomial distribution can also be called as bimodal distribution. Is that very clear? Yes guys, next point over there is again a very important point. I guess it's a point number 9 with us now. Yes. It is based on shape of the distribution. Now when we talk about the shape of the distribution, there are three different cases, so just understand it very carefully. Again, for theoretical kind of a questions, you may be asked this. Case number 1, p value is 0.5. It's actually based on value of p, we can remember this. Depending on what is the value of p, based on that we can also always tell what will be the shape of the distribution. When we say that p is equal to 0.5, in such a case it is binomial distribution is symmetrical. Now what do we mean by symmetrical? Let us understand this with a small diagram. You can see a bell-shaped curve represents a symmetrical distribution for the reason that this area and this area, they both will be exactly equal to each other. The topmost point is representing the highest frequency and this horizontal line is actually representing the values of the variable x. So the topmost point, when from that point if I draw a perpendicular line on this number line, this particular vertical line is dividing the curve into exactly two equal parts. Therefore, we say that it is a symmetrical distribution or a symmetrical curve. Symmetrical in simple language becomes exactly equal. So when you fold this curve along its vertical line, so both of the parts, they will exactly overlap each other. So that's why it is called as a symmetrical curve. That is case number 1. Case number 2, P is lesser than 0.5. In case if it is lesser than 0.5, we say that binomial distribution becomes positively skewed distribution. Now what does it mean by positively skewed distribution? Once again, I draw a small number line. In case of a positively skewed distribution, the frequency increases very fast but comes down very slow, like this. The curve will obviously never touch the horizontal line, but from the topmost point, if I am dropping a perpendicular, it is shifted more towards the left side over there, and because it is shifted more towards the left side, this kind of a distribution is called as a positively skewed distribution. And point number 3 that we have, P is greater than 0.5. Obviously you can say that binomial distribution becomes negatively skewed distribution. I'm sure you can even guess the diagram. It will be exactly opposite of case 2. The values increase very gradually, but when it comes down quite quickly, and the vertical line is shifted more towards the right side. Then in this case it will be called as a negatively skewed distribution. Okay, so let us see the point number 10. The point number 10 out there is based on additive property of binomial distribution. Over here, if I assume that X has binomial distribution with n1 comma p, and another variable y has binomial distribution with n2 comma p, then as the name says, additive property, x plus y will have binomial distribution with n1 plus n2 and the same parameter p. The condition is that x and y, they both should have the same value of probability of success p. Only then you can apply the additive property. Otherwise application of additive property will not be acceptable, will not be possible. Okay, let me take a simple example over there. If x has binomial distribution with 7, 0.4 and y also over here has binomial distribution with 3 comma 0.4. So if you observe, this is n1, this is n2, and the p value in both the cases is exactly same. Only then I can say that x plus y has binomial distribution with n1 plus n2, so 7 plus 3, 10, and 0.4. Write the conditions along with me, all of you. Condition number 1, and actually this is the only condition that you need to remember, that number of trials n is very large. We say that n approaches to infinity and probability of success p is finite. Actually we say it is small and approaches to 0. Then n into p is a finite number, and we say that here m is always equal to n into p. This is the very important condition that I have to remember for Poisson distribution. N has to be very large, p over there has to be very small, or I can say very close to 0, probably 0.001, or it can also be 0.0001. It has to be very close to 0. Okay. Now, just now some time back we had seen that there are 3 cases of shapes in case of a binomial distribution, which says that p, if it is equal to 0.5, it is symmetrical, greater than 0.5 it is negatively skewed, lesser than 0.5 it is positively skewed. Over here, because the value of p is very small, it always approaches 0, it is considered that p is always lesser than 0.5. If p is always lesser than 0.5, then by default Poisson distribution becomes positively skewed. Obviously, we'll come to it once again when we are doing our properties, but just a small point, it's an important MCQ, so I am giving you already in advance. Once again I'll give it to you later on when we will come to it. So that is about your condition that n into p has to be a finite number. Now, after that, so let us start with the properties as we did in the first case, in case of binomial distribution. First is the type of the distribution. We all know that Poisson distribution is discrete probability distribution. That is the very first and a very important point that belongs to type of the distribution. Then the next is parameters. Now when we talk about the parameters, we have already seen there is only a single observation or the single value which is required for case of a Poisson distribution, which is m. So the only parameter is m, but actually m depends on the value of n and p. So only m is the parameter, and hence it is uniparametric discrete probability distribution. Uni represents a single, this represents parameter, so single parameter, that's why it is a uniparametric distribution. Okay, after that, point number 3 is based on formula. The condition on the parameter I have already given it to you, that's why we are not repeating it once again like we did in case of the binomial distribution. The condition is that m into p, which has to be a finite number, which is the value of your m. Okay, so formula, it is given by p of x is equal to e raised to minus m raised to x divided by x factorial with a condition x is 0, 1, 2, and it can go up till infinity. So that is the basic difference between the value of x of your binomial distribution and the Poisson distribution. In case of binomial distribution, I had told that the value of x was from 0, 1, 2, 3 up till n, whereas here it is not the case. Value of x can be anything up till infinity. Okay, then the next point, point number 4, is based on mean and variance. Now the best part about this particular Poisson distribution is that mean is always equal to m, as well as variance is also equal to m. So if you think about the relation between mean and variance, it is always mean is equal to variance in case of a Poisson distribution, whereas if you observe or if you remember your binomial distribution, which we did some time back, the mean is always greater than the value of variance. That is what we have to remember, the difference between binomial and the Poisson distribution. Obviously, in case if somebody asks us the value of standard deviation, so we should know that square root of variance, so I can directly say it is equal to square root of m. Point number 4 over there, in fact 5 over here, is now based on the mode. Again, there are two cases under this to get the value of mode. So let us understand what are the two cases. Case number 1, m is non-integer, and non-integer का मतलब है decimal. Suppose in a certain question, if I am told that m is equal to 3 by 2, find mode. So if that is a question, so what do we do? When the value of m is a non-integer, the case is exactly same as it was in case of binomial distribution. We say that value just before decimal in m. So in that case, if m is 3 by 2, m is just equal to 1.5. And what is the number before the decimal? It is 1. And therefore what is the value of mod? It is equal to 1. As simple as that. Okay. And in case if the value of m becomes an integer, case number 2, if m is an integer, then mod is equal to just m and m minus 1. Like we did in the binomial distribution, we had to first calculate n plus 1 into p, and then based on this we had to decide whether it is an integer or a non-integer. The Poisson distribution does not consider anything like that. It is just dependent on the value of m, whichever is given to us in the question, or if sometimes you may need to calculate with the help of n into p. Here it was directly given to us as 3 by 2, which is actually 1.5. So straight away I could say that the value of mod is equal to 1. If suppose if I get in a question, if n is equal to 5000 and p is equal to 0.1%, question tells us find mod. So just see how we get this. Chalo, I will say m is equal to n into p. So it is 5000 into 0.1%. So I will divide this by 100. 2 zeros will go away directly. So 50 into 0.1 will be actually equal to 5. So now when I know that m is equal to 5, I am sure that this belongs to integers. So therefore I can say that mod is equal to m and m minus 1, which is 5 and 4. Is that very simple, guys? Okay, so the next point that you have over there, I guess it should be point number 6, that is based on shape of the Poisson distribution. As I just now told you some time back that p is very small, is always close to 0, p has to be always lesser than 0.5, and if p is lesser than 0.5, it is always positively skewed distribution. You have to remember it very clearly in your mind. Poisson distribution is always positively skewed distribution. That is point number 6. And then the last point, point number 7, additive property. In case of additive property, if we say that the variable x has Poisson distribution with parameter m1 and y has Poisson distribution with parameter m2, x plus y will have again Poisson distribution with parameter which is m1 plus m2. Very easy to remember.